So, in 1985, a teacher named Krista McAuliffe was selected to fly aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger. And the shuttle exploded upon takeoff. And that week, there were jokes that began to circulate around the United States. Jokes like, where did Krista McAuliffe take her last vacation? All over Florida. What were Krista McAuliffe's last words? What does this button do? Now, this was a beloved teacher. She died in front of her students who were watching in their classroom on television. The whole country was watching, really. And, but, you know, trauma happens, tragedy happens, and we use jokes as a distancing mechanism to process it. Now, I went to go look up some of these Titan sub-jokes, and I couldn't find any. All I found were a bunch of articles saying how we shouldn't be allowed to tell these jokes, that these jokes are inappropriate, and people who tell them are just wrong. And I'm trying to figure out what the difference is between a public school teacher dying and some rich people dying at the bottom of the ocean. And the main difference I can think of is that besides one exploded and one imploded, the only difference I can think of is she's a public school teacher and they're rich. Now, there's a guy named Destiny, and he says that's not the reason. He has a different reason, and this reason sounds vaguely familiar to me.
That infest this place. I never understood why DGG freaks out whenever other streamers that aren't Destiny make edgy jokes and hypotheticals. Zero doubt in the mind that Chad in that clip would be posting based if Destiny said those exact words, LeMayo. So I've noticed that, like, we've forgotten all of the rules and everything for why some jokes are okay and some jokes aren't okay, but I'll refresh your memory in case you...
Hear that, comedians? I know you all thought you had your own set of rules. You thought the rules were dictated by you and the audience, but it turns out you were wrong. There's a new sheriff in town, and his name's Destiny, and he's here to lay down the law, and you might ask yourself, what qualifies this guy to be the final word on jokes? Well, he's really good at Legend of Zelda.
Okay, but I'll refresh your memory in case you can't understand it. If I did make that joke, it would be based and it would be edgy and we would laugh. But the difference is that me and most of my community don't genuinely celebrate when people are killed because they have a lot of money. That's the difference. A lot of people in Hassan's chat were laughing and joking and memeing that people died at the bottom of the ocean because of how much money they had, right? That's the difference. The difference is that we're joking and they're not.
They're not. He hit that T hard. Like an angry man punching drywall. So let me get this straight. I support public teachers. I support public education and teachers' unions. So therefore, I'm allowed to say something like, what color were Krista McAuliffe's eyes? Blue. One blue this way, one blue that way. But I can't say, hey, these rich guys, they all just died because they couldn't handle the pressure, you know, because it imploded. I can't say something like that because I think billionaires should pay taxes. This doesn't make any sense. And I think I know where he got it from, what he's trying to say. See, I sent clips to Destiny before we were supposed to debate. I sent clips to him of this show. I know he saw them because he blocked me soon after. Now, I did not know he continued to watch the show. So let me remind Destiny what I said on this show multiple times. What I said was, it's not irony if you mean it. That was not meant to impose rules on comedians, but rather to explain why right-wing political comedians aren't funny. One of the reasons is because when they say something offensive, many times it is impossible to distinguish between whether that's a joke or that's a statement. Case in point, Roseanne is on Theo Von's podcast. She says a bunch of gibberish about She says a bunch of gibberish about an election, and then out of the blue just denies that the Holocaust happened. Now, even her defenders could not explain the joke. And the reason they couldn't explain the joke is because the setup was incoherent. And then the punchline was pretty much something she's already said in one form or another a bunch of times. She is known for spreading anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. World War II related anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. It is not out of her wheelhouse to say that. So it was impossible to distinguish between a joke and a statement. That's what that means. Don't steal what I have to say, steal the things that I say, and A, not give me credit, and B, bastardize and manipulate them for your own political ends. Of course we can make jokes about things that we hate. It's done all the time. All the time. I mean, I hate Joe Rogan, man. And if I get up on stage and I say, hey, Joe Rogan is so dumb that when he listens to audiobooks, he moves his lips. People know, people have a fairly good idea that I don't like him. In fact, I think I say very clearly, I do not like this guy. And then I proceed to tear him up for like 5 minutes straight. So, it only really matters if there's a joke there. Not whether or not... I mean, how would you know what every single comedian truly believes? When someone's on stage, they're performing an act. You have no idea what they really believe unless they straight up tell you. All right. We're just going to continue. This kid annoys me.
Is that we're joking and they're not. That's what makes it funny, and that's what makes it not funny.
Also, LMAO is not a word.
That's what makes certain it's so.
And nobody says edgy or based.
Stupid. That's like this right here. This comment is the equivalent of saying like, why can a white guy not say the N-word but a black guy can? It's arguably like the same type of thing.
Okay, I don't know why you use that mocking tone, Destiny. Is that what you think you sound like? Because I've heard you argue for hours. I have heard this guy argue constantly about how white people should be allowed to say the N-word without being criticized. He has now become incoherent. Here's a few quotes. The N-word is not a slur. That's what he said. If it's really as bad as people say it is, then no one should be saying the N-word, not even black people, period. He is not making any sense because this is an emotional conversation for Destiny. He gets emotional when people disparage the wealthy. He's so blinded by capitalism that the mere notion that you would disrespect a rich person makes his blood boil, and then he starts babbling about the N-word incoherently. Okay. So, that's the real reason. This guy is so blinded by capitalism that the idea of disparaging rich people upsets him. If I say, what were Krista McCullough's last words to her husband? She said, you feed the kids, I'll feed the fish. That's an acceptable joke. But if I point out the true tragedy of the Titan sub is that there wasn't more seating, that's offensive to him. It's as simple as that. And that's how most joke policing works. Blank jokes are never funny. Just fill the space in with any topic. Any dark topic you can think of, blank jokes are never funny. Which is pretty much like saying jokes are never funny. Of course they're funny. Of course making fun of rich people dying is funny. Of course making fun of any tragedy is funny. So, I'm going to leave you with a joke that employs irony, true irony. It goes like this. Did you know that Miley Cyrus's real name is Destiny Cyrus? It says so on her birth certificate. But she had her name legally changed to Miley because Destiny is a boy's name.